Hello, I'm Martin Cross, and this is Crossy's Corner, a very special edition of Crossy's Corner because we have two great champions with us, Sam Meijer and Mathilda Hodgkins-Byrne, and they are not only world champions in the under-23s, which is amazing, but they're also Wingfield Sculls champions, and we're going to be talking a lot about this fantastic event as we go through this interview. But first of all, Sam and Mathilda, how's your day been? Where are you? Just set the scene for us. What's been going on for you guys today?
I think I've had an easier day than you. I've only got 2 sessions today. We're at Caversham. We've just finished weights and we're going to be on the water this afternoon. I think I'm in a double.
Yeah, so I've had one session on the erg at home in the garage, just a kind of easy 12k UT2, and then just literally like 5 minutes ago finished off weights, and then back out on the water at Caversham. If we open this, you can see there's actually a lake behind us, but just some distance this afternoon, another long UT2 session.
Yeah, and what's the atmosphere like for you guys at Caversham? Does it feel weird? I know you're practicing a bit of social distancing between the various groups.
I like it. We're training, men's and women's scullers train together. It's nice you don't have to fight for a seat in the crew room. There's loads of space in the changing rooms. And again, like weights is easier because there's less of us. I definitely find we talk to each other more in the breaks than we would previously probably on the phones or whatever. I actually quite like the environment. Yeah,
it's actually been really good because like we've had I guess like we're obviously like super lucky with the facilities we've got here, but then like even like anyone who's been to like a regatta on 2K Lake knows that like in the warm-up sessions or in the practice sessions it can get pretty busy on the lake, and when we've got 70 people and it's like small boats and we've got like like 30 boats on the lake or whatever, it gets pretty bumpy. But now we've got just like I guess like 15 boats on the water or whatever at one time. It's like so much more relaxed. No one's like trying to overtake anyone. No one's like getting washed down by anyone. And it's just like it's quite nice to have a bit more just like room to do stuff. So the social distancing is actually like worked like really well here. We're obviously split up into like men's and women's scullers, and then there's like a men's sweep group, and then there's a women's sweep group, and they're kind of training half at Longridge, half at Caversham at the moment. I think it's working out pretty much well for everyone. I don't think anyone's like hating it, and so we've adapted really well. The training's great.
Well, that's amazing. Now let's go to this amazing event called the Wingfield Sculls. I have to say I know a lot more about it after having researched it over the last few days. That I kind of thought I knew about it, but I didn't really. But I guess some of the people watching and listening to this broadcast won't necessarily know too much about the Wingfield Sculls. So how would you guys describe the event to someone who probably hasn't ever seen it before?
You're probably better.
So it's quite an anachronistic event that takes place once a year on the Thames. The idea is it's the British Amateur Championships for sculling and the Championship of the Thames. So the aim of the event is to have the 6 best scullers in the country competing out over the championship course, so the same course as the boat race, in a 6 abreast format to win. And it is obviously like 6 abreast on the tideway, all in singles, and like it's like a very exciting event generally. It's got a huge history. The first race was in 1830, so and it's quite fun in terms of like if you go back and look at like how it used to be run, where it was basically a wager between a group of people who like met at a pub and said, oh well, we should do this race on the Thames, that'll be fun, and it's kind of evolved over the years to be in the format that it is today. And hopefully it's like it's a race between like the scullers who, I don't know, like it's just a really good opportunity to get some side-by-side racing in the autumn, and over a really like interesting and fun course.
Yeah. Charlotte, what makes it so special for you?
Hilda.
Oh, I keep calling you your sister's name. That's so annoying. That's the second time I've done that.
The other night, and now every email makes a point of calling me Mathilda. So.
I know, and you're racing your sister in the race, but you've won this event back in 2015. What made that such a special day for you, Mathilda?
So that was quite a different race to what it's going to be next Thursday. So it was only actually Georgia and I doing it. And I think at the time I was training at Reading Rowing Club, and Dan and I were just looking at like different races, new challenges to do. I've never rowed on the Tideway. I've done Force Head, but I've never been on it in a single. And actually next week is going to be probably the 5th time I've been on the Tideway in my single. So I've really never been on it. So yeah, I will be very glad that Reedy's steering me again come next Thursday. So no, it was a lot of fun. We still managed to hit each other. But no, like that style, like I really enjoy. I'm much better at longer races. I've got quite a good endurance base, and so actually to go and do drag racing, I do really quite enjoy. And also, like, there's so many factors that come into it. It's not just like the fastest person genuinely might not win because they've steered a horrendous course.
Oh, really?
A boat's come in or something. Like it is an unpredictable race, and I think that's what makes it so much more exciting than just going up and down a 2K race where generally the fastest person will win. There's just so many other factors into that.
Does that make it more nervy for you, the fact it's so unpredictable, or does that take away the nerves? I mean, you know, is it pretty much the same as on the start in a 2K race in terms of the tension you're feeling, or is that something different?
It's different. I think it's a bit of both. It's quite nice not having to attach yourself to a stake boat, but equally, I know I've got to steer the course going down, and normally in a 2K, like, I will never look around. So having to spend most of the time looking to see where I am is completely different. Equally, if you do horrendously, there's many things you can blame on other than yourself.
Yeah, it's good. You can always find an excuse for a poor performance at the Wingfield, I think.
Yeah. So you can be like, oh yeah, just awful course, or oh yeah, came out the stream, or there's loads of different reasons. So yeah, it's good.
Now the race has had to change the format this year because of not so much COVID, but because of Hammersmith Bridge being out of use. Yeah,
so the format's the same. Like, it's still, we had to time trial to get into it because I think because of COVID there was a very high number of entries. So now we've time trialed in. It's going to be the same format. We're still 6 abreast, but the course is different. Normally, as Sam said, it's a boat race course, but this time we're starting at St Paul's and going up to UL. So it's a shorter course.
It's like about a kilometre shorter, but it's but with the way that the conditions are at the moment, with like a lot of land water coming down, it's probably going to take about the same amount of time, just because it's pretty steady. But for the women, who are actually an hour and a quarter before the men, I think like basically when the tide turns, it rushes in and then like stops for like a couple of hours and then like rushes out. So I think the women will have a really quick race and we'll have quite a slow race. So no, it's so basically because there hasn't been any, like, historically. Well, so one of the really cool things about the Wingfields is that if you've won it, you then go onto the committee, so you kind of decide like how the race is being run in the future. So it's really cool. Like, the committee is like it's got like Wade as the secretary, and then Guy Pooley as the treasurer, but then it's also got like Alan Campbell, Steve Redgrave's on it. I mean, Greg Searle. I mean, like, we can go through like so many extremely impressive male and female rowers who have historically won the race, who are then like kind of pop up to help like organise the race. So after a kind of decision like within the committee, because we can only have 6 entries. The historical way of doing it has been to run heats of 6, like a week before, over the course, but that deemed unfeasible because of COVID, and because there isn't any no one has any racing history for the last like 9 months or whatever. We can't just, it seemed really unfair to go to people who have historically done the race and say, oh no, well, we don't know what you've done, so we can't, like, we're not going to put you in. So it was kind of thought the best way to do that would be to run a time trial, which is what we did on last Sunday, which has led to this like really awesome field. I think especially in the men's field, it's really cool because we've got like me and Angus from Caversham, and then like Matt and George, who I rode with a bunch of under 23s, and like really like right on the next level. And then although Matt is like probably like one of the quicker ones in the single, and then like Calvin and Victor, who are both like a bit younger, and like Calvin's obviously won Scullers Head a few years ago, and Victor's like a very, very talented sculler. It is just this really, really cool mix of people, mix of like backgrounds that have been able to get into the race.
Can I ask you, what decided which guys from Caversham chose to enter the Wingfields? Because I think it's amazing that you guys, yourself and Angus, are in the event, and likewise Mathilda with athletes from the national system. But have you got to have big cojones to enter the Wingfields at the same time as?
We just decided, so originally Kyra was going to take part as well, but unfortunately she's got quite a bad back at the moment. So we just decided that anyone that was like fit out of the women's sculling squad, we were just going to do as a whole, as sort of a day out, sideway, sort of like just give us some racing experience, because we don't know when the next race could be. So that's literally why such a large bunch of us went and did it.
For the men's side, like I wanted to. So I mean, there's obviously like historically like a bit of a kind of a wish, but not like a wish from the coaches, but like sometimes it's a bit of a wish from the coaches here to not get athletes to do like that much racing. Which is like kind of, I understand why that happens. Like sometimes you don't want the best athletes to be put in a position where they're going to lose, where like we've been doing like a huge amount of training and then other people may like taper up towards the event. And so I kind of understand that, but so for me, I really wanted to do it because I'm defending champion and I really wanted to be able to defend. And then Angus decided to do it so Angus went to Durham, and because Wade's the head coach, I think Wade and Angus had both Wade had wanted Angus to do it and Angus had wanted to do it. So it just kind of worked out this year because we haven't had that much preparation it just worked out really well for us. And I think like coming into the trials process in the winter, we don't get much, like we get a bit of competition out on the lake, but we're not like you don't quite have that fire very often that a race brings out in you. So I think like being able to go onto the water to actually like just wake up in the morning and thinking I've got a race today, like how do I prepare for that? What do I do? How do I feel? Means that like when we come to those trials in the winter and then eventually through to regattas in the summer, hopefully, then you're just going to be a little bit more prepared. So I saw it as a really good opportunity.
Would it be right to say it was easier to enter the race with Jürgen not at Caversham? It wasn't something that Jürgen would have particularly favoured.
I wasn't here for enough of Jürgen's time, so I think I'll leave that to Mathilda.
Maybe. I know certainly Reedy was able to then choose to take us down the day before and actually get us all out on the tideway, which I don't know. I'm speculating. In previous years, that might not have been possible. Equally, that could just have been because there was a very large number of us going down that we decided to like actually go out on the course rather than us. Yeah. Well, Charlotte obviously trained a lot over the summer because she lived there in London, but Jess and I certainly were very clueless to the tideway. I mean, Jess even took her watch off before the race because she was so convinced she'd fall in. Then both of us were there like, oh my God, like this is really bouncy. We're not going to cope. We're going to fall in. So like, had we not gone out the day before, which was like a lot bumpier, it would have definitely been a huge shock to the two of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to like what Sam said, like it's been so long since we raced. Like we all finished, and then like 3 hours later, we're like, oh, we haven't done any recovery. None of us have had any food. Oh yeah, we normally bring that. Oh yeah, next time we really need that. And like definitely this week, like I paid for that just from like, yeah, it should be ingrained, but just simply forgotten. And yeah, really nice to just be able to go and do a race.
Yeah. Now, what's the difference? Say you sat on the start. It is a different feel to a 2K race, but in terms of how you blast, both of you plan to blast off and get an early lead. I mean, what are the tactics that you adopted? What are you thinking now, without giving too much of your race plan away? I know.
Well, I don't know how much I can say. I think so. I'm in quite a fortunate position because I'm in lane 5, so I'm the lane so I came fourth in the time trial. and that's put me in lane 5, which is 1 away from the Middlesex bank. So that's actually quite a good position coming around St Paul's Bend.
Why is that? Because you're on Middlesex. So is that because
slightly better there, basically? I think.
Yeah.
And I think like coming into the Chiswick Gate along there, you want to be a bit further over. You want to be a bit further over towards the Chiswick Gate. So so in quite a good position. I'm quite happy with that. But I mean, so people have won it from coming from behind. I would say that's like quite a challenging way to do it. I mean, like it's you want to make the race as short as possible. I mean, the field we've got in the men's side was very, very tightly packed with 4 of us within 3 seconds on the time trial.
Yeah,
so,
that was mental. That was absolutely insane.
There's going to be a lot of like jostling for position there, but you know, I mean, yeah, I don't really want to say too much about what my plan is, but like it's quite obvious. Like it's kind of what you do in that. Like everyone's raced. Well, I mean, most of the people who will be racing have either raced, have either like talked to people who have raced like the boat race or have raced like the Harvey Dale regatta, and they know that the tactics for those are very, very like kind of you just go as hard as you can for the entire race. Yeah, exactly. It's just like you want to be up because then you can block people and then you can win the race. Like if you're down and you try and go around people, it's really difficult. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
So unlike Henley, is this, you know, you can have proper sort of clashing and you can sort of wash people down if you get in front of them. Is it that kind of contest?
I guess we'll see what Graham says on the day.
He's the umpire. Yeah, and I guess like I said, like the last time I did it, Georgia and I, only 2 people doing it, still rode into each other. And yeah, like we've got the times from the time trial, but I again don't know how much is due to course and like how much is due to where people were in the stream. So
you won the time trial, Mathilda. Are you feeling really confident that you won it by something like 16 seconds? Are you thinking, right, this is mine to lose now?
No, like I said, it's my 5th time on the Tideway. Again, if I come through having not fallen in, like genuinely, like that's going to be good. Like I have every intention of trying to go and win it.
Where does this falling in come from? Has anyone fallen in during the event then? Have you seen someone fall in?
Yeah, like quite often, like who was it?
Fran Houghton's fallen, I know for
Nick
a while.
Middleton maybe fell in.
He's fallen in.
Georgie Brayshaw fell in after the finish line on the time trial. I don't know why people fall in. Like it's like I mean, I learned to row on the Tideway, so I like hands up, like I'm quite used to it. But like I think people do have a habit of capsizing. I think also because of the way the race is, because it's not as codified as like British rowing rules are, or world rowing rules, where it's like, oh, if you like, I mean, there is rules that say like, oh, you can't like intentionally foul an opponent. That's quite clear. But I mean, people get close together, people clash blades, and then people capsize, or people will just row into buoys and stuff. I mean, so one really interesting thing about Wingfield is each sculler will have a steersman or steerswoman in a launch behind them who will provide steering instructions, generally with an oar.
Oh, so who's your steerer then, Sam?
I don't know yet. I haven't worked it out fully. It's probably either going to be Kieran Clark or Rowan Law, who are both coaches at Tideway Scullers.
Yeah.
Last year.
Oh well, it's an hour and a quarter break. It'll be enough. It's for me. Like I grew up on the Tideway. I know the river very well. I'm like pretty. I think like. I haven't really like paid attention that much to. Well, I've only raced it once before, but I found having a steerer was like kind of useful, but not that useful for me. So I'm not too fussed who it is. The steerer is also there for safety, so if their sculler does capsize, then they can rescue them. Kind of dual purpose, but like I'm not overly fussed who it is, because at the end of the day, like I kind of know where to be on the river. But then also like if they find some like sneaky thing that I could do to like get an advantage on someone else, I would kind of want to be like told what was going on rather than just being told to like steer into the wrong place, because I couldn't see the like steps ahead that they're seeing. And then equally in the other direction, like I probably want to make those kind of weird decisions myself. I don't know, like I think the steering thing is great, especially if you're not that familiar with the river. For me, like I'm kind of
Do you know where all those boys are then? Have you got that locked in your memory? Unlike Mathilda.
I know where all of them are. Don't worry. I rode there for 5 years, and then at school, and then like half a year at Tideway Sculls, and then I'd come back and row every Christmas and every summer, or like every Christmas at least on the Tideway out of Westminster. So yeah, we always train. We're like Bill always had us in small boats there, so we would always we'd generally be in singles. So we got like very competent at steering the river. I mean, that was the other thing. It's like we would always be like, every race would be like, every like session would be like doing the Wingfield. Everyone would be trying to beat each other, trying to get the best stream and all this stuff. You have pairs and fours and singles all going after this like tiny line. So you kind of get used to this like kind of battle that is going to inevitably happen. So.
Have you had a chat with Angus about the race yet, or are you just kind of going, you know, how are you doing, Angus? Are you avoiding mentioning it, or are you?
Well, I think I didn't know he was going to enter, so I think I said too much before he entered, and then he entered. I'm like, oh, well, I shouldn't have said some of those things, should I? No, I mean, we both see it as like, a really good opportunity for like, because we're on the same team now, like. Obviously, we're each trying for like selection, but at the end of the day, we're on the same team. So I'd obviously like him to do well, and I'm sure, well, I hope he'd like me to do well. Like if he wins in a good race, I'll be very happy for him. But I've been trying to, there's a bit of gamesmanship that goes on, but not too much.
Yeah. And you racing your sister, I know you must have raced Charlotte often, Mathilda, but. Not in this event, an event like the Wingfields.
No, and though you keep calling me Charlotte, and Wade repeatedly said, Charlotte, yes, you can defend your title. So it seems like something's going on in the fact that Charlotte's clearly deemed to win it. I've never actually raced a side-by-side. So. Oh,
you're kidding.
No, I've never raced a side-by-side. And we're actually starting next to each other. So this is actually
Where are you drawn? Which lane are you guys drawn in?
You're in 4 and Charlotte's in 5, maybe?
Yeah. I know I'm sandwiched between her and Hannah Scott.
Yeah.
At 4 and 5, and then Georgie Brayshaw's in 6.
So this is actually the first time I will be racing a side-by-side. As every other previous trials, we've ended up in opposite semis or different finals. And then she wasn't well for Olympic trials this year. So I've never raced a side-by-side.
That's a massive thing. Two sisters racing each other. Oh wow, that's so cool. That's worth the attendance money just to watch.
So that's going to be new.
Yeah, maybe Mathilda, you can take us through your 6 competitors, a little just sort of bio of who they are and what they're like.
So obviously, I know like the 2 squad members far better, and therefore I apologise. I'll be more ropey on the other people. Obviously, like Charlotte, my sister. Clearly, I know very well. She did the team with me last. She joined September 2018, having done the double with Anna at Senior Worlds and having won and broken the record at under 23s. She did juniors in 2014, getting a bronze in the quad. And then last year, she qualified the quad with me, and she stroked the boat at Linz at the World Championships. So, I know Charlotte very well. Yeah, I know Charlotte very well.
So what about Hannah? Hannah Scott. What about Hannah Scott?
Hannah Scott, I don't know that. I know her more by her reputation. I know her more as a person when I was in Sierra Nevada, both of us. I think
what's her reputation?
Well, she's a very good sculler. She's a very good sculler. She went, I'm right in thinking she went to Virginia, Princeton, orange kid. Like Princeton, and so was sweeping out there. I think she did a pair as under 23s, and I want to say got a medal,
silver medal.
Oh yeah,
and Poznan.
Yeah.
And won the pairs event at Henley.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that race against Hattie and Rowan.
Yeah.
The pair,
yeah. So no, she's very very competent in a small boat. But again, this is my first time racing her, so.
Oh wow! And then there are 2 Tideway scullers, Katie Wilkinson-Feller and Saskia Budget.
Yeah. So Katie, I know she's been on the scene trialing for quite a few years, but I'm not sure she's made it to
So Katie's so because I used to row at Scullers, so Katie's an incredibly talented athlete, like a huge engine and like a really, really good sculler, but she's just been on the wrong end of some injuries over the past few years. So she nearly got to under 23s and then had a back injury and then just had to sit out a few seasons. But she's actually been training extremely well this season and looks to be in really good form. So Katie.
Yeah, and then Sass, she was new to the squad last year. She trained full time with us. Admittedly, she is in absolutely great shape. We did 2Ks 2 weekends ago, and she PB'd on that. She PB'd on that test. So no, she's in really, really good shape at the moment. Incredibly powerful. And again, knows the Tideway, having been from Tideway Scullers. Yeah. So yeah, she's definitely good.
Georgia Brayshaw she came 6th in the time trial.
Yeah, so she was on the team up until Olympic trials, and then she went back to Leander. Again, hugely talented athlete, really, really powerful, and good at moving a single. Does, as Sam said, did capsize, but you can't use that in any way against her. I'll be really excited to see.
She also nearly went on the wrong side of the edge in the warm-up.
Yes.
So maybe if she studied the map a bit more, she'll be very dangerous. But,
so I'm kind of banking on her steering not being her forte.
Yeah.
So that then I don't have to worry about actually racing her. But,
so, can you give us a little short biography of your competitors?
Yeah, sure. So let me think. So to the left of me in lane 6 is Viktor Kleshnev, son of Valery Kleshnev, famous for his rowing biomechanics and all that. He's just finished his freshman year at Harvard. He was at Maidenhead. I believe he's now training at Leander. He's a very, very talented sculler. Yeah. I've never actually raced him because I guess we're 4 or 5 years apart in age. But he's from what I know, he's a very, very talented sculler and he'll be really quick. Then there's me. Then there's Calvin. So Calvin learned to row at Team Keen, I think, and then went to Tideway Scullers for a little bit, and then went to St Paul's where he was part of that really, really quick 8. And I think he won the Junior World Championships in the 4, maybe once or twice in a row. I can't remember. Twice. Okay. And then he won Scullers Head as a junior, which was very, very impressive. Something I never managed to do. And then
What was your best finish in the Scullers Head as a junior, Sam?
4th, I think. 4th. Yeah.
Whoa, that's fantastic.
Thank you. That's all right. And then so then he's gone to Harvard now. I rode with him in the second 8 in my last year at Harvard. We had a really good season. He's a really, really he's a great guy. It's actually a field of generally really great guys. But he's an extremely talented sculler. He goes, I think, 5:52 on the erg. He's very, very strong as well.
Yeah.
Then he came 2nd in the time trial. Then there's Angus. Who kind of everyone he's probably the most well known of the people there. So he is a Rio Olympian in the quad. He's very, very strong, talented sculler. He's got under 23 medal. Senior world medal. He's definitely got an under 23 medal with Jack in the double. And is he's an extremely talented sculler. He rode at Walton and then went to Durham, and then he represented Leander. And then there's the 2 guys who I rode with at under 23s in the quad. That's Matt and George Bourne. So Matt, who's in lane 2, I think, is he's a man mountain. He's absolutely huge. He's 110 kilos of
oh my god.
And he's massive and very powerful, but also really shockingly agile and light on his feet as well. He doesn't just lumber around. He kind of knows how to move a boat. So he's kind of been just on the cusp of the senior team, and so he's actually one of the he's one of the like Olympic squad people, but he's not training at Caversham. He's training at Nottingham at the moment just because of COVID. So he's like, I think he really is looking to try and qualify the single this year for Tokyo. So he's trying to get his single up to a standard where he can get then sent by GB to the final Olympic qualification regatta, then hopefully go to Tokyo in the single. So he's but no, he's really talented. He's been rowing for ages, but came through the start system because he's huge, and now is really good. And then George Bourne, who's so he's representing Nottingham, and then George Bourne, who's representing Sculls. He just finished off at Durham last year. He was bow of the quad that we raced in 2019 in Saratoga. And so Matt was two of the quad in 2018 and 2019, and then George was the spare in 2018 when we had Rowan Law at bow, and then George was at bow in 2019 after Rowan had aged out. So yeah, George hasn't been rowing that long. He started off doing cross country. He's been rowing for maybe 5 years now, but he's like just huge positive trajectory in his technique, in his power, and he just works really hard. He's a really hard worker. So he'll be really one to watch. He can put in a very, very good performance.
Yeah. So are you guys confident about the conditions? I did take a look at the weather forecast. It looks like a southwesterly wind, which I think blows headwind as the course turns.
Headwind on the 8th, I think.
Yeah.
I don't even know which side's which. So to know which.
Come on, Mathilda.
I'm awful. I still can't even get which side is for Henley, and I've raced them many times. And honestly, if the race is longer, it really does suit me. So if it's a whacking great headwind and really rough and wavy, fantastic. That's going to be all the better.
What are your starts like then over 2K? Do you go out do you go out in front? Are you the first to 500, or do you tend to come through in the third quarter or something like that?
No, I'm generally faster out. I've got slower over the years. I did the final Olympic qualification regatta, and I did actually beat Emma Twigg to the first 500 and then blew my doors off. So I've definitely learned like completely.
You beat Emma to 500?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Not to 2K though, unfortunately. I if I get it right, I can be up there at the start. Like I'm not that big, I'm not that powerful. I do rely more on technique and the race being longer. But drag racing's fun. Like Sam said, the quicker you get out, the quicker you can kill the race off, and the less you have to race. I'd much rather do it that way rather than trying to fight behind, especially if steering's not my forte. Trying to weave in and out of people and potentially not being in the stream is more stressful for me. Do you think your kind of nasty side might come out in terms of this competition? Because normally in 2K it's all in lanes and everything, but used to be with the match racing and head-to-head when University of London raced Oxford, when they had wooden blades, they'd take a whole set of blades out because there'd be so many blades broken. There was so much aggravation and, clashing. Do you think you'll discover that dark side of your nature during this event? I want to say no, but equally, whether my steering's unpredictable and unintentionally go on the wrong side or intentionally go on the wrong side, I can't vouch for either of them. It's a race. Like, I'll be lying if I say I don't have any intention of going and winning it. And that certainly means putting myself in the best place at every point of the race. And it's a long race, but equally it's a lot easier if you're winning it than if you're trying to slog through someone. So I'd rather control the race rather than trying to play against someone.
Yeah. So Sam, you must believe you can win this race next Thursday. Well, I should say it's next Thursday, and the women's race is at 10:45. Is that right? 10:30, and the men's race is at 11:45.
Yeah, exactly, 11:45. That just gives enough time for the wash to settle down and the boats to turn back around. It's like the boat race, basically.
So you must believe you can win this race, Sam.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe I can win the race. I think side by side is more my forte than a time trial format.
Why?
I don't know, just like seeing how people next to me. And then, so I think in the time trial, like I started off first and Angus was like just behind me. And I could see that, like, I knew that if I was within a few seconds of Angus, I would get through the time trial. So I was like, okay, well, Angus took a little bit on me in the first half, and then I took like almost the same amount in the second half of the race. And I was like, this seems like enough to get me through. So I won't like absolutely kill myself, but so it wasn't like a super hard race. It was pretty full pull, but not quite. I think I back myself definitely. Because I've got a lot of tideway experience, so that's really helpful for me.
Yeah.
I think I think having raced it as well, I think George is the only person I think who's raced it before. So I think having done it before, I kind of know how to do it a little bit. So that's very helpful.
A big advantage.
Yeah, I think there's some advantage there. But yeah, I guess obviously there's a lot of like, it's a race on the tideway. There's a lot of stuff can happen. But I think it's just like making sure that you're in the like right place that the things that can happen to other people, not you. So like it's stuff like, I don't know, like making sure you've got a splash guard on your boat, or building a pump for your boat, or like
Your steering device.
Yeah, exactly. Just get someone with a remote control. So it's stuff like that, making sure like you're on the right gearing, stuff that I think can be a little bit, if you're used to racing on 2K lakes where it's always like the Disneyland of rowing, you're kind of, okay, well, it's going to be about the same. Like maybe you get like the odd like Rotterdam World Cup or whatever where it's a bit weird, but I think having been used to rowing like on the tideway, and then also like throughout university rowing on the Charles, where there's that big basin in Boston where it really chops up. I'm very used to rowing in these really bad conditions, and I think just trying to make sure that I can make the most of anything that's difficult.
Sam, Dan Spring, aka Fat Sculler, has asked a question. I was going to talk to you about who's the biggest name you guys have taken down after that Emma Twigg comment of yours, Mathilda. But Dan Spring asks about a story that when you beat Olaf Tufte and Olaf thought you were the new British Sculler and didn't believe you were a junior. So is that true?
Yeah, it's true. So in 2014, when I was 17. So we would always go and race the Armada Cup, which was this, for those who don't know, it's
the Armada Cup.
Yeah, so it's a massive race in Switzerland, which it's about 300 scholars enter, and it's a mass start. It's 9. It's not really. It says it's 9K long. I don't think it can be 9K long because we'd often finish in 30 minutes, which I think is too quick. So it's about 8, maybe like 7.5K long, 8K long. But it's on this like lake. Which then develops into a very, very small river at the end before the finish. And basically, I ended up, it's awesome because you get Masters women racing with Olympic champions. So you get all in singles. So you get this entire breadth of the like rowing community all turning up and racing in pretty much a fair race. Basically you end up in different rows, and because of my previous performance, I ended up in the front row and ended up, and also like you also like should end up in the front row if you're like on it. So I was in the front row and ended up just being ahead of Olaf, and then just managed to hold him off for the race. It's one of those ones like it's like the Wingfield where there's a test of boatmanship as well. I knew where the path through the weeds was. I knew where the sandbanks were. I knew all this stuff, and so like basically managed to get ahead of him for the final bit in the river, and then just like hung on for like 2K at 30, rate 35. Like I was just like blocking him as much as I could, and then finished one place ahead of him, which was awesome. I love that. Crossing the finish line, he's like, "Oh, you raced Alan?" I'm like, "Alan?" He's like, "Yeah, Alan Campbell." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm 17." He was like going jokingly. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, F you then."
I love that story. One of the things I wanted to ask you, just we'll come back to the Wingfields just in just a moment. I know you've got to go to training at 2, Mathilda, but European Championships happened 10 days ago, and I don't know whether you guys caught the action. There was some stunning racing. I mean, men's singles was particularly exciting, and Sunita was out there in women's singles. The Dutch men's quad, the Dutch women's quad, sensational too. What did you guys make of all that from Caversham?
Like, I mean, like we watch all the racing. We watch all the racing, and like, I think we were actually quite happy not to be there because we think how we've organised the year is actually like pretty beneficial for racing at the Olympics. So it was really cool to be able to watch it, but like we're pretty happy we stayed here. I think like doing like stuff like the Wingfield kind of substitutes that bit of racing in. Yeah. But like Dutch men's quad looked like really good, there are a lot of crews that look like very, very good there. I think the Dutch team, especially in general, have done a really good job in preparing their athletes over the like lockdown and coronavirus periods. So it's very impressive to watch some of the crews, the really slick, dialed-in crews that are coming out of there. I think like watching. I mean, I've been mainly paying attention. Yeah, singles was an incredible race, like probably like nearly as good as Linz last year. Which is just amazing. And then, quad, like some stunning sculling in that. And then double as well. That was a really tight race. That was all like, at least like, it was a lot of movement in the field, which was really cool to watch. So we watched it and like, we're happy not to be there. But it's also like really good for us to like see how other nations have fared. And it's also really interesting, I think, like, because we all kind of think, oh, well, like lockdown will have affected everyone so much, or like no one's been out on the water or whatever. And then like, I mean, we've got people setting PBs on the erg here. We get out on the water, we're going the same speed we used to, and we watch the racing and everyone looks really good. And it's quite interesting seeing how like, well, everyone's taken a step back and it's just nothing has really changed. And it's quite interesting like seeing that and thinking about how like, how that can be brought into like training a little bit more, and just like, I mean, just people who like, maybe someone gets injured, then just like they can have a bit more of the confidence to say, well, actually, like, all these people have taken like 3 months off the water, and they have a week where they're terrible, and then like Mathilda, who like how long did you have off the water?
6 months.
6 months, exactly. Yeah. Like, and it's just like, well, it's just fine. Like it doesn't really matter. So it's kind of really interesting to look at it like that. But what do you think of the racing?
I didn't actually watch any of it.
What?
No, I never watch any of the racing, so like that's not out of like the norm for me. I find it too stressful.
Really?
Yeah, like I guess I empathize too much. Like I know what it would feel like if I won, lost, or whatever. So I'd rather just not watch it. I mean, most of the time, like I won't even watch my own race. So, like unless the coach brings the race to the debrief, I won't go and look it out. I might have someone be like, have you seen the race? I'll be like, no. And they're like, you need to look at this bit. And they will literally have to bring me the laptop. Because for me, I don't watch it.
Yeah.
So I contrast quite strongly.
I only watch it. It depends how I've done in the race, then I'll watch it.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I'm going to ask you just to come back to the Wingfields now. I mean, you're both champions. You talked about the history of the race. How much of a sense of history do you feel or pleasure do you take from being a Wingfields champion and being, in some part a custodian of this race's future?
I think going back to what Sam said earlier, like with being on the committee, you could see like the names of the people who have won it before. And certainly when I won it in 2015, like I wasn't on the senior team. So to be down with people who have won Olympic medals, and then to be like, I've actually won the same event as them. Okay, I didn't race them, but I still go down on the trophy with them, is something that I don't think I'd ever get another opportunity to like be on that sort of semi-equal footing with them. So that's really very very special to be part of.
Yeah.
I feel a huge amount of honor like being in in ranks with these people. It is absolutely amazing. I think it's really exciting as someone who's like I obviously used to watch the race every year because it would just come past the boathouse at Westminster. I think it's really exciting for me to be able to be a part of like promoting the race in the future going forwards. and trying to like make sure that it maintains its status as one of the premier sculling events in the country, if not the premier sculling event in the country. And I think also one thing to note this year is that it's the only it's the only, well, it will be by the end of this year, the only chance for open side-by-side racing to take place in the country. So that's a really exciting situation. It's the only, like, whoever wins this race is the only person who's got any right to like claim to be British champion. And so it's quite a cool, like, you can say, well, trials, but then trials has an early cut off and stuff. Like, this race is fully open. It just, like, if you got through the time trial, you can turn up and race. So like, that's something really, really cool, that hopefully we can maintain that status going forward, where it is really seen as like, okay, well, like this super prestigious event.
Yeah. And I guess we should add that there are plans to put the event out live or practically live on social media with people filming by camera phones, I think is the idea.
Yeah.
Adam Freeman-Pask and Jamie Kirkwood are having a dry run this weekend with some internal racing at Thames, I think. And then if that all goes to plan, I think there's going to be some like high-tech behind-the-scenes solution for videoing. I think it's going to go out over YouTube and maybe Instagram as well. I'm not quite au fait with the exact like intricacies of it. I've left that to them. But yeah, no, there'll definitely be, I think, just like keep an eye on the Wingfield's Twitter account, the Wingfield's Instagram account, and hopefully we'll try and get a fair amount of promotion done over like various channels so people will be able to watch it wherever they are. And yeah, just also to add to that, like, please don't come and watch the race. Like, if you're out on the water anyway, like, fine, like, well, please stop your launch. But if you're out on the water, like, turn your head and that, or if you're in the pub, I mean, a bit early to be in the pub, but if you're in the pub, like, watch whatever. But yeah, please don't come down. We're trying not to have any spectators there, just because of the coronavirus regulations. But yeah, please do tune into the race on, I think, YouTube and Instagram.
And just finally, I know you're both at Caversham. I mean, how is the mood at Caversham? It's, you know, there's been a lot of change there. It seems from your mood, you're generally very up and positive, and from what you were talking about in terms of the Europeans. Yeah.
I think going back to COVID, like, it's a smaller group here. Like, you definitely appreciate actually being able to talk to people, which we obviously weren't able to for 6 months. Like, we did have a weekly like Zoom call, but actually being able to see each other on a day-to-day basis, like, it's so nice. We've never appreciated that quite so much, and we're really lucky. We're in a bubble, so like we can see each other in training. Like, obviously, like, we are following all the protocols. Like, we do wear masks, except when we are literally training. But it feels more normal because we've been able to create like a bubble environment. So it's just a bit of safety and a bit more of normality.
Yeah.
But again, still having that everyone has the same collective goal to move forwards on. So it really does feel like a team.
Yeah.
And that's really nice to be part of.
Yeah.
You concur, Sam, or would you?
Yeah, I agree. I think also with, like, obviously it's changed a little bit with Jürgen retiring. So we've lost like a huge talent in Jürgen as both a coach and program setter and manager and motivator in general. But I think it's also given a really good opportunity for the coaches who are here to kind of show their true colours and really like flourish in the role. Whereas before, like, and like, I mean, it's just how the system's set up. Like, or Jürgen would write a program, the coach would kind of implement the program, and the athletes would kind of do the program. There's now the coaches who are implementing the program are the one who are setting the program. I think that's certainly both have their advantages, but just in terms of a communication thing, rather than having Jürgen communicating with 70 different athletes across 15 different boats, it gets quite challenging for the entire system. For us, we've got Paul Stanley and Dan Moore in charge of our group, and they're looking after 8 of us. And that feels really nice. It's a really good relationship that we've got at the moment, very open and very able to just like talk about what the way to do this is, Whereas before, like if we wanted to have a conversation about the program, like if you'd have like 70 people would then individually need to go to Jürgen, which would be a like absolute like calamity. But now we can kind of chat to the coaches and they know exactly what they like want us to be doing each session. Not that didn't happen before; they knew exactly what they wanted, but it just feels a bit more direct now, which is really good. And I think the coaches, I mean, the challenge with Jürgen retiring was always like, can the coaches maintain like what has made British rowing such a powerhouse in the past? And I think because like everyone here has been working with or under Jürgen for so long, that's really meant that a lot of the like the emphasis that Jürgen had and the impetus that Jürgen put into the program has really like carried on in a very, very positive way.
Yeah. You two guys have been so articulate. I mean, truly great champions. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend, 45, 50 minutes in your company. And it's certainly whetted my appetite for next Thursday's race, because, I think there's nothing that I can't do other than sit on social media and watch you guys do your thing. And I wish you the very best of luck. But thank you so much for being part of this build up to the Wingfield Sculls, a fantastic event and one of which you're both champions of. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.